You're sitting across from the real estate agent, trying to keep your face neutral while they say the price. You nod, you even smile a little, but inside your head, you're doing the math. Your salary, the down payment, the mortgage, the interest, the property taxes. And suddenly the number in front of you stops feeling like a house. It feels like a life sentence. You leave the showing, get in your car, open your banking app, and stare at the screen thinking the same quiet thought millions of people are thinking right now. How does anyone afford this? And the uncomfortable answer is, most people won't. My name is Nico, and I spend way too much time thinking about why normal people can't afford the things their parents could. If you're someone who works hard, saves money, and still feels like the financial finish line keeps moving further away, hit subscribe and give this video a thumbs up, because today we're talking about something that sounds dramatic but is quietly becoming reality. Why 99% of people will never afford a house in 2030. Now look, people love to say things like, just work harder, just save more, just stop buying coffee. But here's the thing, the math doesn't care about motivational quotes. Let's start with a simple example. Imagine a normal house, not a mansion, not a luxury condo, just a regular 3-bedroom house. In 2019, the average home price in the United States was about $280,000. That meant with a 20% down payment, you needed about $56,000 up front. Still a lot of money, but possible. Now fast forward a few years. According to the Federal Reserve and the National Association of Realtors, the median home price in 2024 is hovering around $420,000. Same house, different decade. Now the 20% down payment isn't $56,000 anymore, it's about $84,000. And that's before closing costs, before repairs, before moving expenses. But the real problem isn't even the price, it's the monthly payment. Because when interest rates were around 3%, a $300,000 mortgage might cost about $1,300 per month. Today, with rates closer to 7%, that same loan can easily cost over $2,600 a month, double. Same house, double the payment. Now here's what most people don't realize. Income did not double. According to U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics data, wages have increased about 20% over the last several years. Home payments increased over 100%. And this is where it gets interesting, because this isn't just a math problem, it's a psychology problem. For decades, people were told a simple story. Go to school, get a job, buy a house, build wealth. That was the formula. But that formula was built in a completely different economic world. In 1980, the average home cost about 3 times the average yearly income. Today, in many cities, it's 7 to 10 times income, which means something subtle is happening. People are chasing a financial milestone that was designed for a different era. Now you might be thinking, okay, Nico, but houses have always been expensive. And you're right. But here's the difference. In previous generations, houses were primarily places to live. Today, they are financial assets, and once something becomes an asset, it becomes an investment, and once it becomes an investment, it attracts investors, institutional buyers, hedge funds, private equity. In fact, according to data from Redfin, investors purchased nearly 20% of homes in some U.S. markets during peak periods of the last few years. That means when you're bidding on a house, you're not just competing against other families, you're competing against corporations with billions in cash. Now imagine trying to buy a house when your competitor is basically a Wall Street algorithm. This is where the game changes, but that's only part of the story, because the real reason housing is becoming impossible for most people is something called asset inflation. Here's a simple way to understand it. When governments print money and interest rates stay low for long periods, that money has to go somewhere, and it tends to flow into assets, stocks, real estate, crypto, things that can store value. So while everyday goods might increase slowly, assets can skyrocket, which is exactly what happened between 2020 and 2022. Global stimulus programs injected trillions of dollars into the economy, and a lot of that money ended up in housing. Prices exploded, but incomes didn't, which created the affordability gap we're living in today. And by 2030, that gap could get even worse, because another force is quietly entering the housing market: millennials. The largest generation in modern history. Millions of them are reaching peak home buying age right now, which means demand is about to surge even more. But supply is still constrained. According to housing studies from Freddie Mac, the U.S. alone is short millions of homes needed to meet demand. More buyers, not enough houses. Prices go up. Now combine all of that together. Higher home prices, higher interest rates, investor competition, housing shortages, and suddenly that dream of homeownership starts drifting further away. But here's where things take a surprising turn, because the real danger isn't that homes are expensive. The real danger is that people refuse to adapt. They keep playing the old financial game, trying to force the same life blueprint their parents followed. Buy house, 30-year mortgage, hope prices rise. But the world is changing, and the people who understand that change early have a massive advantage. Here's what most people don't realize. Owning a house was never the only way to build wealth. It was just the most common way. But there are 3 new financial paths emerging that many younger investors are starting to explore. The first is geographic arbitrage. Instead of forcing yourself to buy in an expensive city, people are moving. Remote work has changed everything. A software engineer making $120,000 in San Francisco might struggle to buy a house there, but move to a smaller city, and suddenly homeownership becomes possible again. Same income, different cost structure. The second shift is investing before buying. Previous generations bought homes first, but many younger investors are flipping that strategy. They build investment portfolios first, stocks, index funds, business income. Then they buy property later when cash flow allows it. This approach builds financial flexibility, which leads to the third strategy, not treating a house as your primary investment. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. A house can be a great place to live, but it's often a mediocre investment. Once you include property taxes, maintenance, insurance, and interest, the returns can be surprisingly modest compared to diversified investments. Now, of course, none of this means home ownership is impossible. It just means the rules changed, and most people haven't realized it yet. They're still trying to win a game that no longer exists. So by 2030, will 99% of people literally never afford a house? Probably not. But here's the deeper point. For a huge portion of the population, buying a traditional home in a major city may become financially unrealistic unless incomes rise dramatically or housing supply catches up. And neither of those tends to happen overnight. So the question isn't just, can you afford a house? The better question is, what financial strategy actually works in this new economy? Because the people who succeed financially over the next decade won't necessarily be the people who follow old advice. They'll be the people who question it, adapt to new realities, and build wealth using tools that didn't exist for previous generations. Which means the real goal isn't chasing the house. The real goal is building financial power. Because once you have that, the house becomes a choice, not a trap. And if you found this interesting, you'll probably want to watch the next video, because there's another financial shift happening right now, and most people don't see it coming until it's already affecting their money.